It's the 27th of August 2014, and this is part 17. So, as I always say, carrying on where I left off, I had a nice guy send me a quite long comment which he left on a YouTube video. So I'll start by reading this to you. And he says, I have been on both POF, Plenty of Fish, and OkCupid, which is another online dating site. Going on 2 years now. But I had been using POF almost exclusively. In these 2 years I had conversations with 3 women. 3 women in 2 years. 3 women who responded to me, and 1 who actually initiated contact with me. 2 of the 3 I contacted I felt I wasn't compatible with. So I let them know and continued searching. The 3rd cut me off, politely I will add. Blah 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 blah. This was in September 2012. Blah 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 blah. That's my story. Nearly 2 years on dating sites. I made contact with 4 women. 4 women in nearly 2 years. I met 1, and this all resulted in me not finding what I joined POF or OKC, which is OkCupid for. He then goes on to say, back in 2010, a good friend of mine broke up with her boyfriend and was immediately, that's the key word for me there, immediately in the market to date again. As I said on my profile, the amount of people on these dating sites who have profiles who are on the rebound is phenomenal. It really is. And that goes to prove it. As he said, immediately in the market to date again. She didn't resort to dating websites, but rather to Craigslist. I was seeing someone at the time, but I made a joke bet with her that if I put an ad on Craigslist, that I would get more responses than she would. I call this a joke bet because I knew damn well that she would get more responses than I would. I just wasn't aware how many more. In a week, I received 2 responses. 2 responses. And 1 wasn't even a real person. My friend, on the other hand, received well over 150 responses. Don't forget that he's male and his friend is female, a female friend. So she's got 150 responses. I lost the bet. There's a surprise. I also feel it's worth mentioning that she was not on there for an ego boost and actually met someone she dated for close to 2 years from there and took her ad down after meeting him. Now that is very, very rare. As I said, most of the people on these sites, even if they do meet someone, they very rarely take down their accounts. They very rarely shut their accounts down. So that is quite unique, in my opinion. Very, very unique indeed. Now, if we scan down here, okay. Now, he says here, towards the end of 2012, my friend, different friend, female friend, her boyfriend of 5 years left her, and she immediately, that's the key word there yet again, immediately made profiles on POF, Plenty of Fish, and OkCupid. In 2 months' time, she met 3 guys from these sites in person, one of which she wound up to date and is still with today. Despite now being in a relationship, her profiles on both sites are still open. Now, there's a surprise. She never mentioned to anyone that she kept them open, but I have found her on both sites. She listed as single. And in the case of OkCupid, found that she was online within the last 2 months. I actually just found her on OkCupid tonight and brought it to her attention when I saw her earlier today. She claims not to be able to delete her profile on either site. Of course, I know her explanation is not true, having at one point deleted my POF, and I know why she keeps these profiles open. It's for the ego boost. I've said it many times. The ego boost of going online and having messages from literally hundreds of suitors. Now, the next paragraph is the final paragraph, and he says, I've come to the conclusion that online dating is a woman's market. Absolutely correct, my friends. Absolutely correct. And any man should consider themselves lucky. Absolutely correct again. In my previous videos, I have said I consider myself very, 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 very lucky to have received messages on Plenty of Fish, because I know that other men do not. But getting back to what he writes here, consider themselves very lucky if they even get a response from somebody that they genuinely want to know, let alone meeting said individual in person. And then he goes on to say, work on yourself, get your life on track, live the life that makes sense to you. Everything else comes second. I'll be taking this advice and deleting both of my profiles. And that is the conclusion. So I agree with every word that man has said. I get the impression that he is an American guy. It makes no difference. But what he said is completely and utterly true, in my opinion. But it's a very good explanation he has put on there. Much better than I could ever explain it. I bow down to this man, because he has worded it 100 times better than I could ever word it in my entire life. So, with that being said, let me kind of lead on from that and say that if you are on a dating site, the profile headline tells you a lot about the person. So I'm going to use Cazj12, as an example, I did speak about her in some of my earlier videos, 2 videos in fact, and I thought I'll go back onto Plenty of Fish and I will type in her name, Cazj12, her username, and see if she's still on there. Or maybe she's found someone. She's found herself a boyfriend, and she said, right, I've got myself a boyfriend now, I'm very happy, I no longer need online sites for dating, I no longer need them, I'm going to shut down my accounts because I've got myself a nice man here. But I did have a bet with someone. I said, I bet if I go to the search box on Plenty of Fish and I type in her name, she'll still have an account. Surprise, surprise. He lost the bet and I won, because she's still on there. Surprise, surprise, surprise. But if you look at her profile now, excuse me, it's a great example of how when women go onto these dating sites, it changes them, as I said before. They develop an ego, an attitude, a chip on their shoulder, because a lot of men from, as an example, Plenty of Fish, on that particular site, I say a lot of women are very stuck up. They're very arrogant, they're very rude, they're disrespectful, they have massive egos. But it's the online environment that is what is causing the problems, in my opinion. Because if you would have viewed her profile, Cazj12, back in September, October 2009, her profile headline was looking for a guy who's funny and passionate. And then she had a profile description which was very honest. But now you can see she's got a bit of an attitude. Well, she's got a massive attitude, in my opinion, because her profile headline now is because I'm worth it. And then when you scan down her profile, she puts down her profession as an account executive and all that bullshit. She's been to university for 3 years. She's got her degree. She works for an email marketing company. But she obviously has an extremely high opinion of herself. It stands out when you view her profile now. Let me read to you what is on her profile. And it's quite amusing. I do find it quite funny. But I have to use her as an example, because she is someone that I had met out in the real world, as I said before. And she states here, and this is very, very amusing. My friends would say I don't have any trouble getting attention from guys. But the truth is, it's rare I meet the type of guy I really want to be with. And then she goes on, so she's looking for a guy who enjoys the simple things in life. To me, that's total bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. That sort of girl goes on these sites for the attention. They go on there because they love receiving messages from men telling them how sexy they are, how gorgeous they are, how attractive they are. They're not on there because they're genuinely looking for a partner. They're not. As I said before, she must get thousands of messages from men who want to date her, and if she can't find one man to date. And what she says on there, I very rarely meet anyone that I actually want to be with. It's a joke, because if you was a man on that site and you put in all that work, all that time, all that effort to actually get a date with her, it's never gonna go anywhere. Why? Because now her ego is so fucking big. She honestly believes that she's better than everyone else. There's no man out there who is good enough for her. Not one man. Because she states it herself. The truth is, it's rare I meet the type of guy I really want to be with. It's laughable. It's absolutely laughable. But she's not alone. She is not alone. There are literally thousands of girls on these sites, on these dating sites, who end up like that. They end up in a fantasy world. They end up believing they are better than everyone else. And the webcamming, that is what is doing the damage as well. Because they're all doing the webcamming, and that is what is doing the damage. But the funny thing is that, as I said before, out of all these men who contact girls like this, they cannot meet one man to date. Not one. And obviously, there's no man out there that is good enough for Cazj12. Caroline Jones. There's not one man who's good enough for her. Not one. And as I said, even if she does meet a man, she will never delete her account. Never. Why? Because she's addicted to the attention. She's addicted to receiving messages from men. That's what it comes down to. So, with that being said, this is part 17. And part 18 will be with you shortly.